Welcome back to Chelsea TV. We have an expert on for today. Welcome, Miss Theresa Puskar. Welcome.
Puskar.
Puskar?
Pushing a car. It's very confusing because there's no H in there, but it's Puskar.
Okay. I put an H in it, and then I was like, oh, I spelled it wrong.
You're not alone, hon.
Okay, so we're so glad to have you here today. Miss Theresa is a breakthrough alchemist to help people to really break through their blocks and move from head to heart. And I'm so glad to have you here today. Thanks for joining us, Theresa.
Thank you, Chelsea. So nice to be
Yay!
here.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. And I'm going to read a little bit about Miss Theresa. So, Theresa Puskar is a Canadian, born and raised in Toronto, Canada, and now living in Chicago. She studied theater at Queen's University, Oxford, and London Academy of Dramatic Arts, having worked with Jeremy Irons. Wow, that's awesome. Is a multimedia expert, having worked on both sides of the business, on the stage and behind the scenes. She is a one-stop shop in all areas of media presentation, acting, producing, writing, radio, and television host. With the background in television acting, she was swarmed by 60,000 bees on The X-Files, portrayed a monster, Miss Hatchet on The New Addams Family, and won a custody battle on The Judge. She has created, written, and produced audiobooks for New York Times bestselling authors, such as Brian Tracy, Brian Tracy, Robert Kiyosaki, Jay Abraham, and Marianne Williamson, Dr. David Hawkins, and many, many others. She is a CEO and founder of Edutainment Productions, focusing on educating and entertaining. Welcome, Theresa. We're so glad to have you here today.
Thank you,
and excited to hear more from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your background and what got you here to where you are today.
Well, I have a background, as I said, I started as an actor. Then I got to a point where it was a crazy life, and I said, okay, universe, what next? I wanted something that was healing, something using my skills. I was living in Vancouver, Canada. I was engaged to a man in Chicago. And the universe, this is part of my message, when we get it together, when we declutter our mind and be able to focus and really do our emotional and spiritual work, life just kind of goes like this, and synchronicities start to happen, as I'm sure you know, Chelsea, with your very experienced and crazy life. It does happen. So within a couple of months, I'm told I've asked to be a counselor at Nightingale Conant Corporation in Chicago. And I was doing some Course in Miracles counseling, and I walked the halls there the week before the weekend event and went, I'm supposed to be here. So I went to the president of Nightingale and said, Vic, I'm going to come work for you. We don't have jobs right now. Okay, I'm going to come work. We're downsizing. We can't pay you. I don't care. I'm going to come work for you. So in April, a couple months later, they said, come, we're doing an infomercial with psychic Sonia Choquette. And they said, why don't you start a coaching program with Sonia? So no experience in publishing whatsoever, but a real passion for healing. I ended up starting the coaching department at Nightingale. I became the director of coaching, and I did work with Jay Abraham on marketing and Brian Tracy on personal success and all kinds of stuff. Wrote the copy, did the sales, and I dreaded sales. I didn't like salespeople. So anyway, through that, they gave me huge opportunities to really expand myself. After a couple of years and the director of coaching, I said, I want to start producing. So I went into this producing. It was another magical situation where they said, no, we need you as director of coaching, doing really well. Something happened within 3-4 weeks. They said, okay, we need you as a producer. So I got to work with all my very authors, all of the best New York Times bestsellers. I went from everything from creating outlines for either a topic or their existing book, and then going into the studio and doing Q&A. And I was a little odd as a producer because I'd sit in the booth with them because they needed the exchange. And then from there, I would produce the audio, and after that, all kinds of stuff. So now I have a program I actually do where people can go from literally concept to stage, because I also teach stage skills as well. So it's been a delightful. Oh, and
Wow.
I should say from that also, I'm an author. So I started writing study guides when I was director of coaching programs at Nightingale, and I started doing work for Gildan Media, which is now G&D Media. A couple years ago, I said I need more work, and they said, why don't you pitch some books? So I did, and I've just finished publishing in March. I did 8 Ways to Declutter Your Brain with them. This is my stories, and it's crazy, wild stories. Like I talked about the wild synchronicities of life, when you're in the zone and when you're not. So this is about decluttering our brain. And our brains have 12,000 to 65,000 thoughts a day. And of those, 85% of them are usually negative. And most of them repeated. So there's this stuff that goes on. And if you're a seeker, if you're trying to raise your consciousness, you'll know your ego gets even trickier. So I noticed things like I would be getting angry about my anger, or I'd be getting impatient with my impatience. The ego started playing these games, and the more I wanted to commit to growing and moving beyond my emotional blocks, the more I was receiving these messages. So I ended up, after years of exploring and doing a lot of work, I ended up going to India for a month to find inner peace. Because when I realized, working with my daughter one day, we were talking, she goes, Mom, you're never happy. And I realized I was what I call now chronically discontent. No matter what was happening outside, I have these moments of great gratitude and happiness, and then boom. So I went to India for a month and did a lot of a real powerful emotional work. And then I did later a Vipassana meditation course where for 10 days, for 12 hours a day, we were in silent meditation, which if you got that crazy monkey mind and you have to sit with this for 12 hours a day, oh my God. So I learned a lot. So the 8 Ways to Declutter Your Brain is very much, I have a lot of assessments, a lot of meditations and tools to help people get through that chaos in the brain. And then the second book, The Good Morning Mind, 9 Essential Mindfulness Habits for the Workplace. This is mindfulness and beyond for the workplace. As you guys know, mindfulness is a big hot topic for several years. But if you work on mindfulness and meditation and consciousness raising in your business, but you don't have the peripheral structure, it ain't gonna work. So this is 9 habits that I've created that are around inner integrity, being really honest with ourselves, looking at ourselves, programs and processes to help people really get to a place from the head to the heart. Because very often when we're defensive, I'm sure you know, Chelsea, when you're in an environment that's toxic or not supportive, we always defend. So in the book, I teach how to go from head, which is reactive and often very volatile and explosive, to going and speaking and behaving from the heart, which is proactive and calmer and a lot more based in self-confidence and self-care. And then I even talk about the third, which is the witness self state, which is actually enlightenment. And I don't claim to be enlightened, but I've been having the privilege to work a lot of really enlightened masters. So that's what I call actually preactive. And if you've met people that are really in the zone, Chelsea, I'm sure you've had those moments too, where you literally know what's going to happen before it does. So when you get to that state of calm and you've done your emotional inventory and your emotional work, you actually get to the place of going beyond and being in the flow so much that you get out of your own way. So that's what they're about. And I have a program that I'm offering now, which is actually the two books plus an hour-long coaching session with me for $97. So it's a heck of a steal, and you get to spend time with me. We'll kind of go into what are your processes, what's going on, where's the clutter in your brain, and where are you trapping yourself? Where are you getting in your own way? Yeah, so.
Wow. That's really cool. I love that whole concept. I think that's really, I mean, obviously it's like more important now than ever. I feel like since we've been under quarantine and, you know, things are totally different, as far as change, and people are uncomfortable and scared. And unfortunately, with the violence and even abuse and suicides and everything like that, it's more needed now than ever. And I've been following Joe Dispenza for a couple years, and he's really helped me with that. Like, I've been, actively trying to be that person I want to be, because he really teaches that the more you try to figure things out in that, like, down state, like, you're never going to figure things out when you're in that state. You have to, like, rise above that. And
calm place. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And he's been out there teaching, but he teaches a lot of the same things, like head and heart coherence and stuff like that.
That's one of the things, Chelsea, that being in the publishing industry so long and working with New York Times bestselling authors, all the biggies, people would come to me and they'd say, I have a concept or an idea, but who the heck am I? But the thing is, we all have our different way of teaching it. We all have our own unique style and our own unique voice. I've seen it through you and working with you and recently, Chelsea. You shine and you radiate the Chelsea message. And so people can say, who am I? Well, who are you not? Because we're all epic heroes in our own journeys. If we were to pull out of our emotional and our ego self and look at our lives, we'd be pretty dang impressed, But like, as you said, this is the time now. I found during the quarantine, I was in with 3 different virtual communities. We did a lot of meditating, a lot of seeing ourselves heal and the world heal. And I was in a bubble of grace. And I am more excited, in my opinion. We are we're at a tipping point, and we're choosing, are we going to go to fear or love, the heart or the head? And so when we go to the head and we go to panic, fear, that's what we're going to experience around us. But when we go to the heart, there's a beautiful state within that whatever happens outside of us cannot be disturbed. And so I was in this incredible state throughout the quarantine as chaos was all around me. And I'm sure you too. I stayed away from the media. I'd watch once a day to get what's going on. I'd turn it off because it upset that beautiful state. So there's exercises and techniques, and I'm sure you have your own too, Chelsea, where people can actually go within and get to that state and build, I like the word armor, because it's not armor. It's a heart-based awakening to what we already are and to what we already have, so that whatever happens out here, but I believe, and it's interesting, when I worked with all these spiritual authors at Nightingale Conant years ago, 15, 20 years ago, they were all prefacing that there's something coming and there's an age at which we as humankind are going to decide. And this is it. Some talk about the golden age, the awakening of the golden age. But to awaken into the golden age, we're going to go through a lot. And we have to keep going back to that loving, trusting self. And whatever you believe in, whether you call it universal intelligence, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in Buddha. For me, I believe there's a divine within all of us. I honor masters like Christ and Buddha and all kinds of different masters. But to me, they already got what I'm still working myself to remember, which is that we are divine within. So it's a fun ride, and I'm excited. I'm excited about the world, and I'm excited that I think as we see some people becoming less conscious, and I work with Dr. David Hawkins, who is an enlightened master, and he did the scale of consciousness. And what he said is that for one lower conscious person, right, there's higher conscious. So say, for example, a Christ or Buddha consciousness, they're at 700 in the scale of consciousness. So one person of the higher consciousness is equal to 100,000 less conscious individuals. So when we have and we work towards our own consciousness, getting out of our own way and getting rid of our own emotional baggage, then we are actually helping the world here. It's more than just helping ourselves. So I don't know about you, Chelsea. I'm really excited, as you can see.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that is like truly, what I'm trying to do is just trying to overcome myself and my own limits so that I can elevate myself and be able to elevate and pour more love into those around me. And so, yeah, just creating this like global stage that anybody who wants to can step up onto and share their message.
Yeah, and
So that's great to know that we are like, I guess in a sense, like vibrating at a higher level or more powerful than some of the people that are out there hurting people, or, you know, there's a riot, let me go jump in and do some damage. Like there's a lot of people out there right now.
And I think in my opinion, and everybody has their own, I honor everybody that walks, and I honor everybody that goes out and parades and all of that. But for me, when I work on my own self, when I look at my own prejudices, when I look at my own shortcomings, and then I love the hell out of myself despite them, knowing that if I could have done better, I would have. So first of all, owning my fallibilities, owning my failings, owning my shortcomings, and then loving myself for them. I believe that does more out there, because the outer world is a reflection of our inner world. You know, the other day, Chelsea, with all of the marches and stuff, my daughter really wanted to go out, but she was concerned about the virus. And I was so overwhelmed with sadness. And I was at a plant shop getting some tomatoes, and we all had our masks on, and we were outside, and a beautiful man was there with his 2-year-old daughter. And he was African American. And I walked up to him and I said, I don't know if this is right or wrong, what I'm going to say, but I want to say I'm sorry. I am sorry for being a privileged white American woman. I'm sorry for the way my race has treated yours. I feel very ashamed. I feel really sorry. And what was touched upon, Chelsea, was the part of me who's been prejudiced. I'm very critical of critical people. I judge the hell out of judgmental people. I'm very close-minded about closed-minded people. I mean, this is what my book is about, right? And so it's very much, and owning that and coming from the heart with masks and all, he grabbed me and he gave me the biggest hug. And, you know, kids, having your own beautiful son, the little 2-year-old daughter felt the energy and wrapped herself around my legs.
Aww.
And that was a moment. Now, I believe that moment of good, pure heart raised the energy frequency of the earth in a profound way. And every single time you give your message, Chelsea, and we all go to that place of heart over our fears and panics, are the places that are really healing the earth. One person, one experience at a time.
Wow. That is powerful.
Thank you. Well, I know you also do amazing work, and you've talked about Joe Dispenza. And I want to honor, there's something too that came up when you and I were prepping for this. You talked about going to a workshop, being dissatisfied. There was another opportunity. You called your husband and said, hey, I'm going to take a car. I'm going to go to Vegas, take care of things for 5 days. That is what I call in my book, self-fullness. We have the paradigm wrong, because we've been...
He didn't like that.
I'm sure he didn't, but now he's going to be happy that you did, because of you're so successful and so committed in what you do. I really honor you for that. But what's going on is their paradigm. We've got it wrong. They say, love thy neighbor as thyself. We have to love ourselves. If I keep shooting myself to love my neighbor first, I'm exhausted, I'm overwhelmed, I'm bitter and resentful because I'm not getting it back. If we fill ourselves first, then we have overflow. And then the giving comes from a place of altruistic wanting to help. So when I heard you tell me the story saying, okay, husband, I'm going, I got to do this, you were full of self-fullness, which gives the world permission to do that, which gives us all an opportunity to model that. So I honor that, and I think we have to shift our paradigm, because what do we got? We got a culture where many of us have been taught by our mothers and our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers, give, 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 give to your family, especially until you're wiped out. And then we've got nothing left for ourselves. So we got to stop it and shift. So honoring you, Chelsea, for being self-full. I am too.
Thank you. Yeah, and I don't feel like I'm a selfish person, but there's a lot of times where in my heart I know this is the right thing to do, but I know when I put it out there, it's not gonna be well received, or whatever it is. But so sometimes, it's like, okay, I'll sacrifice what I want for the family or whatever it is. And that's what we do, and that's something that a lot of leaders talk about, as far as that's the biggest thing they see in women, and they don't see a lot of that with men executives, but like as far as women, just not putting ourselves first,
Well, and I see.
how it's selfish. Yeah.
Yes, and I believe that I've heard, if there is a job opening and a man sees a list and there's 20 criteria and he's only got 10, he'll go, oh, I can figure out the rest. I'm applying. We women will go, oh, I don't have all 20. I better not apply. We believe that there's a pie. And if I take a piece, I'm going to take it away from somebody else. As opposed to there is an infinite pie of success and there's plenty of pieces to go around. So, yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah. So what else? I mean, a lot of my audience is moms. So what would you tell moms on that, as far as empowering yourself
Well,
and that feeling of being selfish when you're really not?
Sure. I think there's a couple of things. I think, first of all, again, because I'm in the publishing industry, start writing your own epic journey as a mother. Start your memoir. It doesn't have to be perfect. We have editors, we have people in the industry. I have a program, Living Legacy, where I'll just take people into the studio for 2 days. Q&A, we get it transcribed. That is the core of your book. But start writing your story and seeing yourself as the epic hero. The second thing I would encourage mothers to do is give yourself a break. And at the end of every day, credit yourself for what you did, maybe just 3 times at the end of every day, for what you did right. And when you made a mistake, if you knew better at the time, you would have done better. I had a situation with my daughter. I was going through a rough divorce and we weren't out yet. We were still all in the house together, and I kept trying one marriage counselor after another. And I was losing my temper more than I wanted to. And then one day my daughter walked up to me just after I'd yelled at her. And I was just sitting on the stairs sobbing, thinking, I am such a bad mom. And she walked up to me and she said, it's okay, beautiful. It's okay.
Oh,
And my heart filled with all the things I had done right. She was mimicking what I have said to her. And so moms, I would say, give yourselves a break. You deserve such love. And although we honor our mothers and our mothers and mothers, we were taught, many of us, to give until we're exhausted. I know, Chelsea, I'm sure you're the same, and a lot of the moms, I would have fresh blueberries, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit in the fridge, and I'd be thinking, oh, I better save it for the baby. And I would avoid eating some of this stuff because I got to take care of her, make sure she gets it. Like, really? That saying, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. But mama's got to make mama happy. So
there you go. Okay, we need to quote that.
But that's what the books and the coaching
got to make mama happy.
About loving the hell out of ourselves, blasting ourselves. And when we feel most critical, stopping a second and just going inside and going, I love me. And how would I treat me if I were my child? So, because we're all in the playground of life, we're all children doing our best. And so sometimes looking at ourselves as if we're this little child trying our darndest, and how would we treat that child? We'd love the hell out of them. So that's where I come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And when we look back at ourselves, where we were 20 years ago, and what advice would we give ourselves, our higher self? What advice would our higher self give us? And when I really, really got into that state, I would have said, give yourself a break, give yourself some grace. Like, you're doing the best you can. Like, and it's like I made a ton of mistakes, like you said, at but I was always searching. It's like I was always searching in my life for something better. Now, maybe I went out to bars by myself and tried to make friends, which wasn't the right place to search. But, at the time I thought I was doing the best, the right thing. And
All in your heart were pure. It was pure intention, and it could be misguided at times, but you, as a character, you have integrity. You have the desire to seek your best self. Mm-hmm.
and so often we are searching and searching and searching and seeking. And for me, I realized everything I wanted was back where I started. And so I end up going in a big circle. And I say in my book, I knocked on 10,000 dead end doors and realized I was at the right place before I started. But isn't that life that, we really have what we need already within us? It's just a matter of finding it.
Yes, absolutely. Remembering it because it's always there. Absolutely. And I think a lot of us have been brought up with a God that's this big guy on a cloud who's punitive and judging and critical. And I don't see that anymore. I see a divine within me that is just, the divine created this earth, created every flower. You look at, the other day, I write about this in my book. I had moments in time in my book, and I'm looking out the window as the cafe, as I'm writing, and I'm seeing a tree. And in and of itself, in all its beauty, it was stunning and colorful, and the fall colors. And then I looked closer, and every leaf had pox marks and was imperfectly, formed and deformed. But in its whole, in its imperfection, it was absolutely beautiful and perfect. So I think likening ourselves to that tree, we have our imperfections, but all in all, we are awesomely beautiful beings.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. And I know people are going to have like more questions for you. So show us again your books. And I didn't really see the cover of the first one. And so you're offering a $97 coaching session with both of your books?
Yes, with both of my books. So it's 8 ways to declutter your mind. Your brain, 8 ways to declutter your brain, and that's with G&D Media. So it's being sold at Barnes and Noble, Indigo, Amazon. And then the second one is 8 ways to declutter. Oh, so this one's, the Good Morning Mind, 9 essential mindfulness habits for the workplace. And again, if you want to, you don't have to buy them there. You can buy them from me. My email address, haven't set up all of the other techno stuff yet. So in order to reach me, if you go to theresapushkar@gmail.com, I'm going to spell it out because nobody gets my name right. It's TheresaPuskar@gmail.com, and we can set up an appointment time to get together. I can send you my books during this quarantine. I actually had 3 scheduled speaking engagements, and I ordered 1,000 of each book from my publisher, and then it would all cancel. So this is better. We get to do one-on-one, and I get to help empower, especially your audience if they're women. Oh my God, and that is another thing. A lot of the spiritual authors I talked about, this is the rise of the feminine. This is the rise of the energy of the feminine divine, which is gentle, creative leadership, right? So I would encourage your watchers to look within. What is your message in your life? What is that? If you go to your creative self and your beautiful, wise self, what is the one message? What's the one learning that you have developed that you can share with the world? Because we all got them. Especially the feminine. This is our time. The world needs the energy of the feminine, big time.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And there's so many good things happening right now. And for me, just talking with people like you and, the community that we're part of, it really has helped me stay above the noise. But one of the things you said about the tipping point, can you say that again? Because that was really profound. And I think perfect for right now.
Thank you, Chelsea. We are at a point We're at a tipping point in the world where we are choosing. We are literally at that cliff. Are we going to choose love or are we going to choose fear? If we choose fear, we go deeper and deeper into the panic, into the lack. Where's my next job? What's it going to be? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Our energy is depleted. Our physical health gets depleted because our adrenals and our energy system is all falling. So we don't want to go there. So make the choice for love, to take that leap of faith, to trust that this world, I don't know what my next job's going to be. I've left a couple of jobs that I was doing on the side while I was publishing my books and doing all this. I'm fine.
You're not starving to death.
No, and you know what? It's going to be okay because
Yeah.
I have that foundation in here. So I would encourage your viewers, go within, find a community. I'm actually starting also a community with my Conscious Community magazine. We are doing Wednesday night calls where I'm having people share their stories. And I'm going to have people like you as guests. We're going to do meditations, but I also want to hear from the community. When we create more consciousness raising in community, we're not alone. We're not feeling lack. We're not feeling fear. So join in the community. So if you go to consciouscommunitymagazine.com, you'll see there in the next couple of weeks, our July issue, I am the All About Town columnist. And in the end of my column, I have a link to Eventbrite where people can join us and start sharing your story and start uplifting yourself and take that leap into nice, cool, calm waters, not into the rocks.
Yeah, exactly. You are so right. And this has been right on. And I love how you said about having the more power, you know, the more elevated you are. And now I kind of understand, I kind of feel that a little bit more because once I see people, you know, getting out there in the media and sharing their story, and we're going to start doing all these wonderful things by getting out there, and, you know, seeing that for myself and just feeling this pull, like, oh, I want to get in touch with that person. You know, I want to connect with that person. And that is the uprising. That is the elevation. And especially women right now, I'd love to lead the charge for, you know, the younger generation of women that are elevating like that. But, you know, when I see people rioting and, you know, respect to the protest and the intention behind that. But when I see people like rioting and looting, it's not like I want to go join them. Like people are wanting to join us. So I see that.
Earlier you said you followed your heart. You followed that gut feeling, even though your husband may not have been very happy. And that's part of the feminine, is really going to that gut place. I've got in my book countless miracle stories of how when I went to the gut and followed it, I'm sure you too, you already mentioned that. So for the women to go to that gut place, and logic might be saying, are you crazy? Are you crazy? You can't start this business now. You can't. Go. And if that little voice is really clear, go to that. And know, as you raise your consciousness, as you get happier, you're healing the world. We have no idea how just by healing ourselves and honoring and loving ourselves, that is going out there big time. So moms, you need to do that for yourself. And when you do that, you model it for your children and for the world and the generations to come.
Yes, exactly. Okay, beautiful. Theresa, Puskar. Push.
There's no H in there. It's pronounced Pushkar, but it looks like Puskar or Puskar. It's such a pain in the butt. In fact, when I was a professional actor, I asked one of the casting directors, one of the major casting directors, I said, should I change my name? She goes, no, it's cool because it's so weird. So
Put an H in it.
I've actually had credits on TV. There you go.
Well, we have a special guest appearance for you, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm putting my glasses on to see him. To hell with vanity. Oh, what's his name?
Jackson.
Hi, Jackson. Hi. Is that mommy? Hi. Oh, he's so beautiful.
He just woke up.
He is.
And the patient husband.
Hi.
husband for taking care of him during the interview.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure, and it's so great to get to know you better.
Thank you. And thank you, Chelsea, for being who you are and for you fearlessly go for it, and your commitment to raise the consciousness of the world is really, really honorable. You're doing good stuff in the world. So thank you.
Thank you. I feel like I'm okay with being vulnerable and like just putting myself out there because, you know, it's a lot of crap, and a lot of people can identify with all of my crap.
Okay. Let's wear our crap on our sleeve, and hey, others can see themselves in our crap, and they get all healed together. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.